So in my How Strong is Jiraiya video, I said I would be going over him versus Sage Mode Naruto. I'm going to be diving into detail about both characters when it comes to their feats and discuss arguments for both of them as well. Then afterwards, I'll be giving my thoughts on who would win. Also, to be clear, this is Pain Arc Sage Mode Naruto we're talking about, not the one during the War Arc. So if you aren't new to my channel, then you must know I have talked about Jiraiya a lot, like from how strong he is to how he would do against all 6 paths of pain. He is definitely a shinobi that is considered to be very powerful in his own right, given some of the statements about him. He's also compared to Orochimaru a lot, as in the data books they are claimed to be on par with one another, and even as a group along with Tsunade are stated to be comparable to the Gokage as well. We later on see that Jiraiya himself said he went from Sannin to Hermit Sage, meaning he surpassed the likes of the Sannin. Now some may not agree with this interpretation, as Jiraiya doesn't say outright that he surpassed the other two, but if you look into Sage Mode, it states that it provides a drastic amp to one's ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu, meaning that his base form is nothing compared to what it is in Sage Mode. So just take this for example, when he realized that Pain had the Rinnegan, Jiraiya automatically decided to use Sage Mode because he thought he needed it in order to stand a chance against him. Now, in his fight with Pain, Jiraiya shows plenty of feats when it comes to strength and speed. He does blitz Pain about 2 times throughout the entire fight, while at other attempts Pain does react and stop his attacks. In my Jiraiya vs Pain video, I pretty much explained that based on the reaction of Pain, the first blitz potentially happened due to Pain wanting to fail out Jiraiya's overall power. This could be argued as Pain doesn't show to be familiar with Sage Mode, as even he was curious to why Jiraiya went through so much trouble just to summon Ma and Pa. It's also stated that Jiraiya can harden his resolve, which in turn provides an amp which not only gave him enough to blitz Pain but also blind him. This type of amp isn't uncommon, as many characters such as Naruto and Hiruzen do receive amps when they are protecting something they care about or when a certain word is said. And even during the second blitz, the Animal Path does react to Jiraiya, but he was defenseless due to being in mid-air trying to perform a summoning jutsu. So depending on how you look at it, these showings could help or hurt the scaling for Jiraiya. This fight also shows that some of Jiraiya's best attacks weren't even good enough to put a dent in Pain. For example, the Predicted Path was able to shortly tank his massive Rasengan. This is Jiraiya's strongest ninjutsu, which is capable of easily carving mountains. But the path still tanked it before completely absorbing it, so like his strongest attack couldn't even take out one of the support paths, which doesn't look good for Jiraiya. Now after swapping hands with Pain, Jiraiya concludes that he is no match for him, like 3 Pains were too much for him to handle, and the only thing he had to beat them was the Frog Song. And even after using this Frog Song, Jiraiya still got messed up by the Asura Path. Like at that point, Jiraiya was so outmatched that Ma herself said to retreat, as there was nothing he could really do against Pain. So even the Toes who were carrying him throughout the entire fight said to give up. Granted, this was due to him losing an arm to the Asura Path, but he lost the fight as all of the Pain he previously defeated were revived. That's really it for Sage Mode Jiraiya. Let's move on to Naruto. Now, Sage Mode Naruto is very interesting during this time, as he faces the same character that destroys Jiraiya. Now, his Sage Mode is different, as he obtains a perfected version of it, a form where Jiraiya himself couldn't even attain. Now, of course, he must look into his fight with Pain in order to understand how strong he is. But before that, I want to briefly talk about his Sage Mode training, as there are some statements that does help us understand the narrative. During his training, Paul pretty much explains how difficult it is to not only obtain Sage Mode, but to master it as well. He even explains that Jiraiya fails to completely master it despite being the best at using it. Keep in mind that Jiraiya was considered to be a very powerful and skilled shinobi, one of the strongest during his time in fact, and he couldn't even master it. Which makes this next statement from Paul insane, as after watching Naruto get the hang of gathering nature energy, he acknowledges that Naruto has probably became a sage exceeding Jiraiya. Then later on during his fight with Pain, Pa states that Naruto surpassed Jiraiya and is even supported in the data book as well. So the narrative is pretty much saying that Naruto is a stronger sage than Jiraiya. This narrative can further be supported by using the statement made by Kakashi, speaking about how the new generation will eventually surpass the previous one, as the whole idea of the arc was for Naruto to surpass Jiraiya in order to beat Pain. So in his fight with Pain, Naruto demonstrates that he has a more refined version of Sage Mode, and he uses nature energy to extend the range of his Frog Kamute and was able to manipulate the size of his Rasen Shuriken. In terms of feats, it's safe to say that Naruto does better against Pain, as he one-shots the Predicted Path with his Frog Kamute, and even before they officially started fighting, Naruto was able to blitz and take out the Asura Path with a single Rasengan. Keep in mind that the Asura path is probably one of the most durable paths who was strong enough to take a lightning blade from Kakashi, yet he was able to shoot a missile that forced Kakashi to sacrifice his life to stop it. He even takes out the rest of the pains by himself. Compared to Jiraiya, Naruto just had a much easier time fighting them off, which should tell us the difference in their strength. There is also the fact he has better jutsu than Jiraiya. His Rasen Shuriken is shown capable of defeating any one of the pains, but Jiraiya's strongest jutsu got tanked. Even though Jiraiya has a better arsenal, none of those toe jutsus really help, as most of them are for trapping opponents. So it's really hard to argue against Naruto at this point. Now when talking about who would win between Sage Mode Naruto and Sage Mode Jiraiya, the obvious thing to do is to compare their fights with Pain. So when looking at the fights, it doesn't look great for Jiraiya as he fought 3 Pains when Naruto fought all 6. This should pretty much end the conversation on who is stronger, but just understand that for Jiraiya, the fight against Pain was on even ground, meaning that neither side had critical information on one another. For example, Jiraiya didn't know about the Pain's abilities or that there were even 6 of them, and Pain didn't know about Sage Mode or how deadly the Frog Song was. But for Naruto, it was completely different, as he was provided with a lot of intel on Pain by Katsuyu. This intel allowed Naruto to come up with strategies to outmaneuver Pain that led him to defeating most of them. Yet even with intel and backup from other toes, he still lost to the Diva Path the moment he got his powers back. There's also the possibility that the Pains were weaker than usual, as it's stated by Konan that they were recovering slower than last time, assuming that means from fighting Jiraiya. So you could argue for Jiraiya by saying that he lacked any intel on them. This can be supported by the statement made by Pain during the aftermath of his fight with Jiraiya, and saying that he fought against fully powered Pains. The issue is, even if you wanted to argue this, there isn't any solid evidence to prove that every single Pain was in fact weaker than before, and it still doesn't negate the fact that Naruto shows better feats in terms of power and possibly speed. Just consider this, one attack from Jiraiya could only blind Pain, but one attack from Naruto could take out Pain indefinitely. The only mitigating factor for Naruto is the amount of nature energy he has before Sage Mode runs out. Because he can't merge with Ma and Pa, this makes him vulnerable to running out of nature energy to maintain this mode, and at that point Jiraiya would be able to easily beat him. But even then, you would have to prove that Jiraiya would be able to push him into using all his Sage Chakra. Now if you still want to argue for Jiraiya, you could use the statements made by Pain openly admitting that Jiraiya could have beaten him and not denying he was a handful, but those statements are useful in proving that Sage Mode Jiraiya is above Sage Mode Naruto. So overall, it's really safe to say that Naruto destroys Jiraiya. Like honestly, I can't say that he stands a chance unless I hype up the feats for more than they actually are. Even the Toe song seems to be useless because Jiraiya wouldn't have the chance to use it, as during his fight with Pain it was considered as a last resort, and given the fact that it takes some time to activate, there really is no way he'll be able to pull it off. The narrative supports Naruto being stronger and the feat speaks for itself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.